Hey guys, welcome back to Stellar Sessions Daily. Today is Saturday, and we've just had a little count up in the background. This is the 30th consecutive day of going live 4 p.m. whilst on lockdown. So in celebration, we've got Regina, Meghla, Margaret, and Amy in the house. So we're going to go around if people can give an introduction on themselves. Regina, starting with you, please.
Well, Regina Peterburgsky, I'm here in Melbourne at 1 o'clock in the morning. Got up just for you, Danny.
Thank you.
I'm an Amazon seller. I also have the Women on Amazon podcast and Facebook group, trying to help other people and figuring out this homeschooling business at the same time. So that's all fun and games right now. That's what's going on in my life.
Excellent. And over to you, Meghla.
Hi, so I'm Meghla from Singapore. It's 11 p.m. here, so I'm ready to go to bed after this. Yes, I organize India sourcing trip, and I also have a podcast at the Asian Seller Podcast. I've been organizing Global Sources Summit in Hong Kong for a couple of years, and I'm currently working on a few virtual events coming up next week.
Excellent. We can get into those in a bit. Amy, would you like to do an intro?
Sure. Hello, everybody. Amy Weiss. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. It's 10 a.m. in the morning here. So I think I'm not as, these ladies are amazing to be here in the middle of the night and very late at night, past my bedtime. So I'm an Amazon seller as well. I have a consulting firm called Amazing at Home, where we help people with, product development and launch and listing optimization, all that other kind of fun stuff. And yeah, so I'm excited to be here. I'm also trying to figure out the homeschooling thing.
Yeah. I've given up with homeschooling, so I've just let my daughter, she's 14, to get on with it. Margaret.
Hi, everyone. I'm also an Amazon seller, and I've been doing some business coaching with Amazon people. Previously, I did business coaching in the service industry. I'm a coach on Meghla's India sourcing trip, and at the moment we're working on the virtual trade show with Meghla.
Excellent. Just want to say a quick hellos to Herb. Betty's back here. Andrew Kramer's back here. Matt Parker, Ben. Andrew Bison, welcome guys. Thank you for joining us. Let us know if you have any questions. So what I normally like to ask is, when the virus hit for you guys, when did it become like serious? Shit got really serious. Starting with you, Regina, because I think over in Australia, look at the cat in the background, lovely. Over in Australia, they just put their big coat on, don't they? They don't take things like, it's like Northerners here. Oh, what's the matter with you? So talk to me about what happened before people took it seriously.
We took it seriously pretty early on with travel bans. Then the government started giving us warnings, not to travel.
Yeah.
I actually got back from LA at the end of February from the women's conference over there from Empowery.
Yes.
And I think I got back just in time, really, because after that it was sort of started to I've just got the cat playing in the background there. They were really starting to stop people for, the government advisories were, not to travel for for non-essential. Then it just became don't travel at all. Yeah. The schools were still open, but we went pretty much from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 reasonably quickly, almost on a daily basis, wasn't it, Marg?
Yes, it was. I was just looking at my diary.
It was pretty fast. So with the schools, they didn't know what was going to happen in terms of whether schools were going to open or close. So people started keeping their kids home from school anyway. And then in Victoria, we were supposed to go on school holidays end of March anyway for a 2-week break. And our state premier basically said, no, we're just going to shut the schools down and go a week early. So we went on school holidays. So we had 3.5 weeks of school holidays instead of 2 weeks, because it covered Easter. And school is now back, and pretty much they've said that the schools need to be online, and however, the schools have to be open for essential workers' children. So anybody who who's not able to supervise their children at home for online learning are able to send their children to school. However, you know, I don't know what the percentages are, but there's a lot of kids are learning from home, and that's a joy to all of us.
Meghla, you guys in Singapore got it under control pretty sharpish, didn't you?
Yes, we did initially, but what's happened now recently, actually, the number of cases have been increasing significantly. In fact, just today, there were almost like 900 cases announced, which is the highest ever. And that's mostly what's happening is that there are all of these construction workers from overseas that come to work here in Singapore, and they live in dormitories. So there are a lot of these dormitories all around, and that's where it's really spreading. So there's not a lot of community spread as such locally. But yeah, that's the number of cases overall have been spiking. And so, yeah, we're in total lockdown now. So initially we were not in total lockdown. There are a lot of guidelines and regulations that we had to follow in terms of social distancing, but we could still go out. Schools were still open until a couple of weeks ago, in fact. So yeah, the online schooling has just started here since last week for my son. So we're still getting into, trying to understand the whole online schooling thing and figuring it out. But yeah, I mean, for me personally, it really hit me in February, because that's when my events were canceled. So the Global Sources Summit was definitely canceled. And then I had to cancel India sourcing trip, and I had to really pivot towards online content. So that's when it really, hit me. And we've really been, staying home for the last month now. We haven't really been going out on weekends and all. So yeah, I'm just waiting for all of this to be over. All I want to do is just go watch a movie now.
Yeah, I want social contact. I've already said to people, I'm going partying for a week. Meghla, I like to go out and party, but I'm taking a week out and going to see people, and anyone's welcome to join. I've said to my wife as well, you're welcome to join, but that's it. I'm off. As soon as this, I'm going on the mad one. Margaret. Sorry, Amy, and then we'll get to Margaret. Apologies. I think you've mentioned this before, but do you want to reiterate what happened with you when you first went on lockdown?
Yeah, so I mean, similar to Meghla, it hit me in February because I have a China sourcing trip. And so I had people already signed up for that. And, in the beginning, I was thinking, okay, I've been in the military, been through many of these things, in the past, and was like, this really is going to be okay. And I wasn't sure if I was going to have to cancel the trip. It seemed like, I was waiting. I wasn't listening to all the crazy stuff. I was waiting for good word on everything, right? A solid word. And then I was like, there's no reason to move forward. And I remember that as kind of a turning point of, okay, it's time to cancel. It's, so that was one thing, was just canceling the China trip. When that's such a normal thing that we do, we go to China every April and October. So that was different. And then we also had a Taiwan trip planned on the way. And we, so all of that kind of just got canceled. And then of course, going to Global Sources with Meghla, and that all changed. And so I think a lot of us from the service-based business standpoint, that really kind of changed a lot of the things that we do. But from a personal standpoint, and also from, when I knew it got really serious, we got back from the women's conference, the Empowering Women's Conference, and my family and I planned a trip to Miami, because we were going to go for spring break. We were going to go overseas, or we were going to go to like Thailand for a week or something like that. And we thought, okay, it's probably not smart to travel overseas right now. Let's keep it stateside. Let's do that, right? So we planned a trip to Miami, Florida. And that was when everything just started. Right after we got there, we were in an Airbnb, trying to remain precautious, stay, small groups, that kind of thing. But I remember just the amount of things that were suddenly shut down while we were on our vacation. And on the day that we left, everything was shut down in Miami, including, the beachfront area where there were thousands gathered like the day before. And I just remember being in the airport, and the airport was kind of empty, right? And being in the airport and seeing some elderly couples in the airport and thinking about them and thinking about the danger. I guess I had never thought about it before, right? Before I was thinking, okay, I'm going to make sure I protect myself. But at that time, when I was in that airport and seeing those elderly couples that had to get on that plane, I was just thinking, could I be a carrier? Am I being selfish and not necessarily thinking about the safety of others? And, and that just really made it real for me. And we came home after that and we stayed home and, we've done our best to take this very, very seriously.
Cool. And over to you, Margaret, as well.
Yes, well, I suppose we work from home, Kevin and I, so it, in some respects, hasn't affected us as much because we don't need to go out to work and we don't have children at home, so we've got a dog, that's it, so that's easy, and we can use him as an excuse to walk every day and get out into that parkland. But I think, well, it's affected our life as we should be in India at the moment. We were having a holiday in India before the trip. We were doing global sources. There were lots of holidays planned and back to India in October, everything was, the whole year was planned of, just trips and, life was going to be great. And then all of a sudden it's, well, which room are we going to holiday in today? We shouldn't complain too bad because a lot of the time, if we're not on holidays, we are at home doing what we're doing now. And I think it's made us actually get out and exercise a little bit more. I mean, Kevin's into the gym every day and the golf, which is all banned. So I tend to do an extra walk with him as well during the day, and we walk to get our groceries and carry our food on our shoulders as a bit of exercise because we're not that far, only a couple of k's from the supermarket. So,
on your head, like in Africa,
Oh, no, I just do the shoulder bit. I just do my shoulder bit. Yeah, so I think in respect to that, we've probably been in lockdown, I think it's about a month now, where we've had no restaurants, no going to friends' houses. So we've been doing quite a lot of Zoom calls with friends on a Saturday night with drinks and cheese and nibbles and things like that, just trying to keep some normality in our life and keep in contact with everyone and just looking after. I've got a few single friends who don't see anybody, so I try and walk with them during the week as well to, just sort of give them a bit more company, I suppose. We're allowed to walk with one other person.
2 meters apart. Yeah,
2 meters apart. But we've got a lot of, I back onto a big parkland and a creek here, so we can walk for, k's around the back there without any hassle. So, so I don't think it's annoying, but, I'd just love to go out and get a meal instead of having to cook every night.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Takeaway, Uber Eats has been...
I'm going to say some hellos and then we'll get into some content, So first up is Kasim is said, hello, everyone. Alan, he says, come to Singapore, Danny. I'll make sure you have a good time. Alan, you showed me a bit of ankle there. Loved to see you in Hong Kong. We're with Amy and Alan in Hong Kong and with Meghla, weren't we?
Yes, we were.
I remember getting the Uber over to the hotel. Can't remember what it was now. But, Owen, hi, happy Saturday to everyone. Martin, good afternoon, ladies and gents. Alan says, hi, everyone. Hope you're well. Roger's talking about Northerners from earlier on when I said put your big coat on. Hello, everyone. Andrew says hello. Andrew Bison said 30 way to go. That's mentioned that this is the 30th consecutive day that we've done the lives at 4 o'clock. Also in the feed, hello, Jimmy. Sharon's joined. Jason's back. Who else? Juan is here as well. So let's get into some content now. What are you up to in terms of, Regina, starting with you, what are you planning at the moment? Because everyone I seem to speak to is like, because they don't know where they're going with stuff, they're putting a lot of planning in place. So when this kind of does move on, you've got something to aim for. So starting with you, what are your plans over the next 4 to 6 months?
Oh, goodness. My plans, well, at the moment, I'm planning to get stock out of China. That's my biggest challenge. Getting it looks like air freight is almost impossible. So
price-wise,
price-wise, and also time-wise. You're paying over the odds, and then you can't get it out anyway. So I'm also looking at did you hear? It looks like Prime Day has been cancelled or postponed.
It's been moved to August at this stage without a set date, from my understanding. But yeah.
Yeah, so because normally Prime Day I do a lot of promos for, but I'm not going to have the inventory this year for Prime Day. So I'm working on Q4 pretty much, starting to plan for Q4 and putting systems in place. Chatbots is my thing. Yeah. I've recently recorded a training, like a really basic training for ranking, and I've been testing out different ranking strategies, which are still working at the moment. People are still buying, still doing stuff. I mean, I'm fortunate that I'm in a category that's doing okay right now. I haven't been negatively.
So would you say, without saying on the product, but are you in essentials or non-essentials?
No, I'm in non-essentials. What I would call non-essentials. However, the homeschooling has been good for me.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I've still been on 2-day shipping. And mind you, I wasn't able to send, when they had the non-essential lockdown of the warehouses, I was not able to send stock in, but that's just changed now for me. So I now can.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of that next layer down. I'm not essential, but I'm not,
Yeah. Yeah, so you're in neighbouring categories. Amazon's slowly opening them up, because I had products that went in about 2 weeks ago now, but there wasn't any announcement. But you can go in and keep checking. One of the things that people can do is, if they go into inventory, and then I can't remember the sub menu, but inventory, and then you look and you can see whether your products are grayed out or not. It's in the inventory tab anyway. If you look in there, you can see what they're allowed in.
Yeah, I was able to send a product. I had a product, and it went in and it was made available pretty quickly. They unpacked it and made it available pretty quickly last week. So that was good.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm working on, and got to, if the world opens up, some speaking gigs coming up. Meghla, you'll let me know.
Yes. Well, then let's move over to Meghla, because obviously I don't remember, do you sell on Amazon as well, Meghla? I know that you're a service provider.
Actually, I've recently started selling. I mean, I never used to sell previously, but just this January I started selling. So
after 15 years of being in sourcing, is that right?
Yes, exactly. I had a cushy job. I really didn't need extra work. So I was comfortable. But anyways, so I mean, the product that I sent in was not really an essential, but it has been selling surprisingly, even though it just went in right before. I mean, I was lucky that it reached the warehouse and all right before everything went into lockdown. But it has been selling slowly and steadily.
Yeah. And what have you been working on in terms of, you've had a couple of cancellations on your side, both as global sources and, of course, with your own trip? How have you been handling that, and what have you been doing?
Yeah, so first of all, for the trip, what we've done is we've really pivoted towards online training and online content. And we're really trying to help people start sourcing from India already, even if they're not able to go to India in April. And one thing that Mag and I are working on currently is this virtual sourcing trade show. And what this is basically is we're getting together a group of suppliers from India, and we're going to be doing live webinars with them. And the suppliers are going to be able to show their products, talk about their companies. And we're trying to replicate the experience that one would have at a trade show, the kinds of questions that people would ask a supplier at a trade show. We're trying to ask those questions. We're also vetting these suppliers. So we are talking to them beforehand, making sure that their products are Amazon e-commerce friendly, and that they're able to do smaller orders and customization and everything. And then we're also asking them for documentation to prove that they actually have a factory. So maybe a business license or some other documentation. So because, I mean, there are a lot of agents, right? So that's a very tricky situation. So that's coming up on 24th and 25th of April, which is next week. And I think that should be very interesting. And this is the first one that we're doing. We're planning to do more, maybe every month or so we'll probably do a sourcing trade show. And then, of course, for global sources, 21st and 22nd April, I'm organizing this virtual summit that's focused entirely on sourcing and product selection for Q4. There are 20 speakers talking about, Amy and Margaret are speaking as well. And it's all panel discussions and recorded presentations, on-demand videos, all related to sourcing.
Excellent. So is that basically you maneuvering the gigs I've done? Think you've booked me 4 times to speak at Global Sources in the physical sense. Is this the online version because you couldn't run April, or is this a different project?
It is the online version, but it's slightly different in that it's focused entirely on sourcing, and it's not only for e-commerce sellers. So Global Sources Summit was e-commerce sellers, and we covered a range of topics, not only sourcing, it was marketing, PPC, everything. But this is entirely on sourcing. It's called Smart Sourcing Virtual Summit, and it covers things like logistics and QC and vetting suppliers and how to change your sourcing strategies in view of all the supply chain disruptions.
Yeah, makes sense. Over to you, Amy. I know you're originally from the army. You have like 1,000,001 projects going. I've seen you squatting like 500 million pounds worth of weights, and I couldn't even get anywhere near that. You're like a machine. Tell us when you're not benching 400 pounds or 500 pounds, what are you up to?
Oh my goodness. Well, let me tell you, Danny, I miss the gym so much. You know, the gym is a big part of my life and my well-being and my ability to pull off so much in a day, you know, just kind of getting all of that out in the beginning of the day. And I miss it. I miss it because it's really community too. I'm looking forward to getting back to lifting the weights. I've had to do the push-ups, and we have a pull-up bar, and, you know, I've been rowing every day and just trying to stay in shape. I'm going to die when I go back to the gym and try to lift 100 pounds over my head. It's going to be crazy. But anyway, I'm still grateful to be able to move every day. In my private label business, we have just redesigned one of our products, and we actually altered the molds and made it so that it was smaller. And then, you know, we've made another portion of the product collapsible because we want to be able to expand worldwide and into multiple channels. And the size of the product was a problem. So we got really great feedback about it, and we've been working through that. So we just got back yesterday. We got back a packaging sample from our packaging company here in San Antonio, and it looks really great. So now we're going into the packaging design process and getting ready for launch. And something that we're doing right now that we're focusing on is actually there's a lot of people online. So it's a great time in your private label brands to actually build up content. So we've been really focusing on Pinterest, building up our following there, and then also just growing our email list, growing our content, and really getting ready to be able to relaunch without much trouble, right? With a much larger audience. So that's kind of what we're focusing on our private label side. The other thing that we're doing is we've recently started selling in a lot more channels. We had listed on eBay, and, you know, we've had our website going this whole time and all of that. But recently, with all the stuff kind of going on with Amazon, and our sales have really increased. We're up 8% from last year. So we've taken the time to really start exploring some other channels, and these other channels right now are really taking off. And that's helping us learn more about each channel. Because as you know, you've got to focus on whatever channel you're going to, you just list your product on eBay. It doesn't mean it's going to sell. You really have to kind of learn about it and know about it. So we're using this time to check that out. Amazon merch got shut down. I was doing print on demand with Amazon merch. And now I'm discovering Printful because it integrates with even your Amazon Seller Central. And, you know, there's just a lot of different things. So we're learning. I've taken this time to do a lot of training. There's all these great free courses. I learned about video editing and YouTube and some finance stuff and angel investing. And I'm just trying to really take this time to grow and be able to look back on it and go, oh, wow, okay, I really grew a lot during that time. And then, of course, with all my trips and stuff being canceled, and I was just ready to launch my private label course. And it's a little bit of a different course. It covers a lot of different aspects. It's more larger focused, not just on Amazon, right? So I had to pivot because right now is not the time necessarily that people are ready to spend a whole bunch of money on a course. So I I changed that around into a mastermind format. So I could help more people, and we could provide relevant content for the ever-changing time. But yeah, so that's kind of what I got going on right now. Just planning for new launches, streamlining my processes, and then in some sides on the service industry, just pivoting.
Yeah, makes sense. Got a message here from Cybe. Amy, do you manage all the digital marketing in-house or outsource or use VAs?
A little bit of both, a little bit of all of that. So some stuff I do myself. I have a technology background, so I manage 7 websites and stuff like that. But when it comes to design and stuff like that, if I'm having a landing page built, I'll do the draft and then I'll pass it off to my assistant, and then I'll just come back and finalize it. But yeah, and then I have some third parties that also help, trusted partners that take care of those kind of things.
Sounds good. Margaret, what have you been up to over the last, or what's your plans moving forward? Sorry, over the next 4 to 6.
Well, at the moment, we have non-essential products, and we're having a delivery date of about 6 weeks later on our product. So we actually changed over to fulfilled by merchant, and that actually changed our sales quite dramatically. In a good way. And did you retain rankings and stuff? It hasn't really affected our rankings. I can't really see the difference between the FBA and FBM. The rankings don't seem to be much different. I mean, we're still way down on last year, but it's probably increased it by about, I'd say, 50% on what we were before, but we're still about 50% down on this last year because, who's going to wait 6 weeks for something?
Conversion rates are going to be terrible on PPC as well, because they'll click on your ad, they'll come through and they'll say 6 weeks delivery date, and then that's going to affect your conversion rate. So you have to weigh off that as well, don't you? Yeah.
I've virtually turned PPC off because it just wasn't converting at all. It was just, so most of our sales have been organic as well, which is a bit of a bonus because my PPC costs are virtually nothing at the moment, which is working out okay. So, but I'm just waiting to see, because the dates are catching up with each other at the moment. They're only about 2 days different. So I'm going to leave both running, but I just want to get the buy box back on all my products in the next couple of days. So I'll just tickle with the price a bit or something. I'll just wait till the dates get one more day closer, and then I'll change back. But I'm going to leave them both running anyway now, just in case something goes off again and we can't do it. It'll all be set up ready to go. Obviously I make a plan. I think, what stock do I need for Christmas? Because I really need to start organising, because all my products are handmade in India. So I really need to have my orders in for Q4 to get things in time, by the end of June at the latest. And I make a plan of how much I need, because it's slow. And then you think, you start selling. So it's, toss a coin to know what's going to happen in the next, 3 or 4 months with the economy in the US as to whether, I need to do a big order or people aren't going to have money by December. So it's really hard to know what to do with that. Mm-hmm. And we had a new product in development, almost ready to order before all this blew up. So I just put it on hold, but I actually had, yesterday afternoon, we spent about an hour with our manufacturer going just through over the final sort of changes. And I think we'll probably bite the bullet and just do a small sort of order to get it going and see what happens. I don't want to order, a lot of it in case we get stuck and we can't get it in, but I'll have a small order and put into a 3PL. If worst comes to worst, we can leave it there, because it's an unknown really as to what's going to happen in the next few months.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on slightly here, because of the behavioural change of everyone, right? We're indoors, so you see that kids' items are going up. What else is there? Board games, stuff that maybe will still sell around Christmas stuff is more pertinent now in terms of sales, and you can just see from brand analytics the kind of products that are selling. Has this had an influence on a change in the way that you will source in the future, starting with Regina? Would you meaning, right, I'm only going to do consumables, I'm only going to do certain style products that meets the current criteria?
It's not going to change, because that's how I source anyway. So for me, that's not going to change, because that's what I've always done. you know.
Essentials and consumables, so perishable
Well,
items.
not so much essentials, but very much consumables. You know, I've got a very high percentage of my customers are repeat customers. People buy from me over and over again.
Great.
I do have subscribe and save.
What would you say your conversion rate? Not everyone knows, but do you got a rough idea what your conversion rate is? It like 3 to 5% or?
What do you mean of subscribe and save?
Yeah, of your sales.
Do you know what? It's quite low.
Yeah, they generally are, but it depends on your volume.
Quite low. Yeah. But originally, when we set it up, I was in a mastermind group years ago, and it was a trick to get the lower price on the
variation as they click through to the page.
So it was one of those sneaky tricks we used to get a lower looking price on the search page. I'm not quite sure if that works anymore, but I just never changed it. But yeah, so in answer to your question, no, it's not going to change mine because that's how I always source anyway. Yeah.
And Meghla, I know you're new to, not sourcing because you've been doing it 15 years, but new to putting out your own products as started in January this year. Is your mindset changed towards the type of products that you will launch in the future, or?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I have been looking at what's popular, what people are, buying these days. But what I'm really concerned about is, are these trends going to continue? Home office kind of products, they are really popular now, but will they continue even after the dust settles with COVID-19 and all? And but yeah, I think what my strategy is going to be moving forward is diversification. So I do want to do some products that are more maybe non-essentials and handmade and more premium, but I also want to do some products that are not essentials per se, but something that people maybe need more than want.
Yeah. And same question to you, Amy.
Well, we've taken this time to really narrow our focus a little bit more. And, I love to study the market. I'm speaking about that at the Sourcing Summit coming up here. I think there are some trends that they stand the test of time, but the key is really understanding your market and understanding what your customers' changing needs are. And so, we're in the pet niche, and we used to sell stuff for dogs, stuff for cats, stuff for, you name it, we sold it, right? And what we've done is we've taken this time to rewrite our business plan. And now we are very, very focused on cats. Like that's our people, and that is what we're focused on. And everything that we source, will be related to that. Now we're also in the homewares category with our other brand, and we have some stuff in sporting goods as well. So in those niches, of course, there are some topics and some trends that stand the test of time. We sell things for weightlifting, and that stuff has gone up because people are setting up their home gyms right now. But I think even though it might be peaking right now, it's still going to remain a steady trend in the future. So for me, it's just about really understanding your customer and your market and staying in tune to their needs, and constantly getting that feedback and looking at what's going on and what people are talking about and blogging about and what the industry trends are saying. And then just staying on top of those trends, sourcing those trends that are going to last.
Yeah, makes sense. Margaret, same question to you.
Well, look, I think a lot of our products are in the gift and homeware section, and I think we'll stick with those. We won't drop them, because I think in time, I know it's probably the next 3 or 4 months, but once people can entertain, have people around for dinner, a lot of our products will be in demand, and, weddings and, birthday presents and all that. So I think we'll just have to ride that out a little bit. But I am I've got one new product under development, which is in home decor, but more of a need thing that people would probably buy more often. And then the other, we haven't gone into development with this yet. We're just waiting on some photos of a bit of a discussion we had with our supplier, and that's actually into the pet market. And so I thought just that gives us a little bit more of, I think no matter when you are, and Amy, you'd probably agree, everyone's got pets and everyone spends money on their pets. So just that's, just a slight diversification, but I don't think I would go into consumables, or I don't want to jump on the bandwagon that everyone like maybe office supplies, because I think then it's just going to get so crowded and it's going to die off. We're in this for the long haul, and we've been building our brand as a brand. So I'd like to just, slow
carry
along
on as you are. Yeah, you take your risk is whether this happens again or not.
Well, that's it. It's you don't know. If I had a crystal ball, well, we probably would have done a lot of things differently in the last 12 months with me.
Yeah. Okay, Angela Hove says, love you, boss ladies, good information. Where's my love, Angela? I've been here 30 days in a row. You keep tuning in and you ignore me. I'm starting to worry now. Yao is tuned in. Hope you're well. She was on the show earlier in the week. Great interviews I've done with her over legal stuff. Tony Cigar's back. Alexandra's here. Todd is here. Patricia is here. Jason Chu has a question. Morning, everyone, wherever you are. Jason, I take it is morning where you are, but it's late evening for most of these ladies. What are you hoping to learn in business from this quarantine? Which is a good question. Starting with you, Regina.
Well, yes, diversifying. I've been really getting deep into learning more about off Amazon sales channels. ClickFunnels has been the bane of my life for the last couple of years, and I've actually now knuckled down and going, right, I'm actually going to do this. And then this last week I've also been learning Kartra, which is sort of similar. So just upping my skill levels in different platforms so that, should something happen and Amazon shuts down, I've got another avenue that I can sell both physical and also digital products. So that's really been what I've been focusing on, and also learning more about digital products and creating digital products and things that I'm not reliant on paying, $17 a kilo to fly things out of China, which is the situation at the moment. So
makes sense.
That's for me has been a really big pivot in my business.
Same question to you as well, Meghla. Jason says, what are you hoping to learn in business from this quarantine? I'll go around the room and ask the same question to everyone, but you're up next.
Yeah, I think diversification, that's been the biggest lesson for me as well. So I was very focused on events, and of course I was starting to sell, but that was kind of new, but my main revenue was still coming from physical events, and I realized that I just cannot do that. So I've got virtual events, and I'm also exploring other opportunities outside of Amazon and e-commerce, and kind of seeing. The other thing that I realized was that all of us have skills and expertise that we've built over the years that we can try and exploit to do various things. So for example, all of these virtual events that we're putting together, this was, I'll be doing all these webinars in the Facebook group, and all of that expertise and that experience I've kind of brought into these virtual events and trying to monetize virtual events. So I feel that we need to, look at our skills and our experience, and there are things that maybe we don't realize that we're good at certain things, or we can accomplish certain, or do certain develop certain products or services or whatever. But in cases situations like this where we're kind of stuck, you've got to be creative and just look deep down and look at your experience and see what you've already got and what are the skills you have, and try to build on those.
Excellent. Amy, same to you.
I think for me, it's a few things. Number one, contingency planning. I think, it's important for us to have plans, a plan B sometimes, at least to have a good nest egg set aside in your business to weather a month or two of storms. That I think has been just a good, luckily I did have that, and I'm doing okay. And luckily we were able to pivot, and now our sales have increased because we're selling on multiple channels and our merchant fulfilled is really up. But what am I hoping to learn from this? it's really, I want to be able to come back and remember that one thing that I learned during this time was to pay attention to the customer and their needs. Reach out, find out what people need. And I think when you put yourself out there in service to others, then it comes back to you tenfold. And so even though we might not be, I might not be making all the money that I wanted to make on certain services, or, I know that I gave back during this time and I supported my customers and on both the retail side and the service industry side of things. So that's really what I hope to learn and also to do more of in the future.
Yep. Makes sense. Same question to you, Margaret, as well.
Well, I think probably one of the biggest things, and I mean, not just myself, a lot of people I've spoken to, is it's given us time to reflect on all those costs that we have dealing with Amazon, and you're paying for this software and that software. And I think most people I know have sat down and said, I don't need all these tools, I don't need all these things, I'm wasting money. And I think we'd sort of done that 6 months ago, but I've revisited it again and virtually, cut my costs down to nothing. So, and I mean, you can get by without it. We've found it hasn't, really made any difference to our business in that respect. And I think down the track, the whole world is going to change through this. It's not everyone is going to start working from home a lot more. So there's going to be a completely different shift in the whole way, I think, of not just us people on the screen, but everyone in the world is going to work from now on, and they're all going to be learning to, I suppose, work from home or remotely a lot more than going to an office. So there's going to be a big change in everyone's life. So I think that's something that people need to take the time now and reflect on. Do they like doing what they're doing, being at home? I mean, a lot of people might find it very and it is a big change from working all day, going to work in an office. I did it for many years, to being at home and not meeting people. But it's good, I find it great because I'm chatting to somebody on, Facebook or Messenger or something every day about Amazon. It's a great community that we're all in, and there's a lot of sharing, and we call what we have our Amazon friends. So everyone who's joining in this journey, I think, is really developing a lot of new friends and a whole new life for themselves. Yeah. And I think it's very important, if you're out there and you're a new seller, to join in all these groups and get on the Facebook and chat to people. And we just, I'll just chat to people and say, how's it going this week? Just all people I've met through the journey. And I think that's so important to, maybe keep that up when we get over it.
Making sure you stay on top of your network of people.
Yeah, I think otherwise you tend to just, ignore things and live in your own little cocoon, and that's not healthy.
No, exactly.
You move to this journey.
Exactly. Welcome back, Tiff. She said, good morning, guys. Kevin says, hello, ladies. Hello, Danny. Tony's got a question here. Has anyone on the panel experienced any drastic change in sales, either up or down? In my case, doing our own in-house shipping during the crisis has made me realize to have an insurance policy off of Amazon ready for the future.
I can answer that one. I know for us, our sales have increased significantly. We're up from last year, and we're actually selling out of old inventory that has been stuck in our warehouse that did not sell before. It is flying off the virtual shelves now. So for us, it really did, it was kind of like we were going through the day-to-day and we were busy, right? And we let go of some of that old inventory. And now all of a sudden, some of it just started selling on Amazon. And then we were like, whoa, that hasn't sold in months. That's a weird test product that we just kind of put out there. Now all of a sudden it's selling on a regular basis. Maybe we should also list it merchant fulfilled. Maybe we should also throw that on eBay, the websites, all of that. So that's really been a big change for us in terms of sales. Just, I know we can't exactly trust it, right? Because even though this old inventory is selling right now, we're taking advantage of it and getting rid of it now, while people are home and shopping, because in the future it might just sit in our warehouse and collect dust.
Do you think with the situation, like you said about other channels, I know that people say like Shopify is up, the fulfillment orders have gone through the roof because Amazon has been so focused on essential goods, because that's all they can maintain and take at the moment, and slowly they're opening the doors, that means people are shopping off Amazon for non-essential goods that they still want. Therefore, there's more activity on the other marketplaces.
That's an interesting thought. I know our merchant fulfilled activity on Amazon of non-essential goods is also incredibly high right now. So for those people that I have, friends that do online arbitrage and retail arbitrage, and they're so busy they cannot keep up. So I think on Amazon people are still shopping, and if not shopping more of merchant fulfilled than Prime before, right? But yeah, maybe that is the reason. Maybe they can't find everything they're looking for on Amazon, so they're going on other channels.
I think we've just lost Regina.
Oops, hang on. Oh, here we go. No, I'm back.
She's back in the room.
No, I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. I had
where's the cat?
Oh, the cat's still here. Oh, the cat's there. I had to switch laptops. Sorry to interrupt, Jamie. I lost battery. So I had to do a quick switch.
No worries.
Danny, do you think it could be also that there's more shoppers? Like there's more people actually shopping?
More people are buying. Yeah, more people are buying. I found in Australia, I've had like a really big influx of sales across 3 different, Amazon, plus 2 other, off Amazon marketplaces that I'm selling on here. And because Amazon here in Australia has been really slow, and I've been selling since day one here.
Is there any search volume? Because I've done Chris, I've done an interview with Chris. Yeah. We've done a 2-part on Australia, the good, the bad, and ugly, in terms of Amazon there. Is it picked up in search, in terms of search volume?
Yeah, like my rankings have been, in my field, I've got like the top 4 listings from my main keywords pretty much for the last 2 years. So my rankings haven't changed, but the sales have increased. So there's obviously more traffic.
Yeah, and you're grandfathered in because you've been there since day one.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's not just Amazon. It's on eBay and Catch, which is one of the other marketplaces here. So yeah, certainly in Australia, and I think long term it's great for Amazon Australia, because people who perhaps can't get to the supermarket to find their toilet paper, they were going to Amazon to find it, where they wouldn't have thought, or other goods. You can't buy a webcam in Australia for love nor money at the moment. I don't know if it's the same.
What, they're going out of stock because everyone's using them?
Everyone's on Zoom. Yep.
Gotcha. Tiffany says, I am merchant fulfilling a lot of non-essentials. And she also said, and my non-essential FBA are back to selling as well. There's a question from Owen, question to all the panel: what level product insurance do you have in place, i.e. individual products overall, and particularly interested in what you have in place for US market? Who would like to pick? Sorry, I should have asked. Who would like to pick that one?
Anybody want to answer that?
Yeah. You know what? I was looking up on the screen. It says private comment, and I looked in there in the private chat. It says, Danny, I might have to drop out for a second in case my laptop battery dies, which was you. And that's where that dry gap came from. So, who wants to pick this one up?
I can pick this one up. Okay. I did a podcast, the Seller Roundtable podcast. We did a podcast with an insurance guy. I think it was Amazon Sellers Insurance. And we were talking about insurance policies, and he was talking about how you need to have a policy that covers not only the US, like if you're selling in the US, but also the countries that you're importing from, because you might not have
the
your
countries that it traveled through. Is that what you mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And I didn't realize a lot of that. So we went back, and then there's levels of insurance you need to have for Amazon. And I don't remember, because this was like 6 months ago, but I just remember going through after that podcast. So, people listen to one of these online things with information about insurance with insurance professionals, because that podcast alone made me go back and check like the 5 essential things that our policy needed for coverage. And when we went back and asked our insurance provider about that, we were not covered. And so it was an opportunity to go back and really protect. And now I think it would be a good time to go back now and ask, okay, what about off of Amazon? Are we covered? What about if we sell on our website? Are we covered? What about in times of contingency right now? Like if suddenly your sales have stopped, is there something in your insurance policy that might protect you? It might be worth giving your broker a call and seeing what's going on.
Yeah, definitely, especially in the US. And this came from not my mouth, from an American person who was on the show. I can't remember. It might have been Paul. He's a lawyer. He said, we do like to sue over here. So it's very important to make sure that you're fully covered. Regina, you look like you were about to join the conversation there. Is there anything you want to add?
No, not at all. I was just agreeing with Amy. I also had a lady on my podcast who specializes in insurance for Australian sellers, but who sell in America. And she was saying exactly the same thing, that you need to make sure that your product is covered on its way to China, from China or from wherever it's coming. While it's on the water or on the plane, it's still going to be covered. So that was just in agreement.
Cool. Meghla, it's an area that you probably covered plenty of times at one of the conferences that you've run. Anything you'd like to add on that?
No, I guess the only thing that I want to add is in terms of sourcing, you want to make sure that as much as possible, you're getting your inspections done and, you're sourcing good quality product. I think that's super important. I don't want to talk on the insurance part, of course. If you do have a product that's, like a baby product or maybe something that's topical, you do want to get some insurance. But I think, on the sourcing side, there's so much that you can do to make sure that you get a quality product to hopefully not have to use that insurance.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right, I'm conscious we're coming up to the hour now and we're keeping you ladies up as well.
I'm awake now. I've got my second wind now,
You've got your second wind. Because obviously by the time we go around the room as well and talk, is there any parting words you want to give to the audience? What's your feeling, your crystal ball over the next 6 to 8 months? Starting with Meghla.
Well, I think next 6 to 8 months are going to be very interesting. And first of all, in terms of sourcing, we're going to see a lot of changes. For Christmas, there are no trade shows, and also people are going to find it very difficult to source products. And a lot of the trade shows, like Canton Fair, Global Sources, the bigger trade shows, Delhi Fair even, they're doing online shows. I don't know what the format would be like and, what kind of technology they will use. But I think this is really going to be a turning point in terms of how people source, because they're going to be, they are exploring, innovative technologies to bring these trade shows online. So it's not just going to be, okay, here's, Alibaba and go search for suppliers. But they're doing a lot of videos and VR and a lot of different things that they're talking about. So that's going to be super interesting, and it's going to change, I think, the way people source. And then the other thing that I think people need to really keep in mind is, especially sourcing from China and even maybe from India to some extent, a lot of companies, a lot of suppliers are in big trouble. There's supplier solvency is going to be a huge issue. So you have to be very, very careful while placing orders, paying advance payments to your suppliers. You want to make sure that the supplier actually has raw material at the factory before you place any orders and before you make any advance payments, because you never know what might happen, because there's so many suppliers that are just at the brink of going bankrupt. So you want to work with maybe sourcing agents. I would advise that, or maybe do more factory audits to make sure that the supplier is genuine and that they do have the raw materials in their factory. So I think those are the couple of things. And then, of course, with this whole masks and PPE sourcing and all of that is just a whole other story in itself. And it's just crazy what's happening in China right now with all of these products. Like every supplier, whether they were making garments or electronics, they're shifting into these products. I was talking to somebody the other day. They said that there is just so much demand for masks, and there's so much supply for masks nowadays in China. And literally, this is a sourcing agent. What he's done is that he's just invested in two machines, and he's producing masks himself. So it's like every supplier in China is doing masks now. But of course, now the demand is for
spinners, the fidget spinners.
Exactly. Yeah, fidget spinners.
It'll crash at some point. One of the biggest problems I think we find is that the market's flooded with masks. I do a donation program at the moment I've set up. So I get people in the industry donate masks to me, send them to my 3PL, and I'll get them out to the front line NHS here in the UK. But I equally get lots of people tapping me up on Facebook. Hey, I got masks, and doing things like, I'll give you these masks. They're only going to cost you raw cost plus 10%. I'm like, well, that's not a donation, is it really? And so I think what we've got is that there are a lot of rules and regulations of what people are accepting, especially here in the UK. Well, that doesn't qualify. It needs to be a KN95 or N95, etc. And then people are not getting these masks because there's so much red tape. There's so much politics. There's so many cupboards here in the UK full, and there's so many nurses here in the UK being told, where someone's standing there, full PPE, mask, visor, saying to them, you've got to go and bleed your patient, but however, you don't need to have the masks because you shouldn't be touching your face, etc. Just wash your hands. And they're standing there in full PPE. So we haven't had it, as far as I'm aware, here in the UK yet, that it will become mandatory for masks. I think when we get a proper supply and we get through all this bullshit red tape here in the UK, suddenly the government will say, right, everyone needs to, when they come out of lockdown, to wear masks. And I think Trump's done that in the US, right? Because the deliveries are getting there. I may be wrong. I'm not into politics and stuff. But there does seem to be a flood of masks in the marketplace, but not everyone's getting them because of red tape and politics.
Yeah. Also, a lot of the factory bosses are, in fact, making millions nowadays with the masks and PPE. So,
Margaret, your crystal ball. What we're saying for the next 6 to 8 months?
Look, I think, on the other side, which it may be 6 months, let's hope it is, that everything gets back to normal. But I think it won't all get back to normal. There'll be a lot of small retail businesses in the US that just never reopen, which I think will leave a huge opening for online selling. People have now gotten used to getting online. They're all sitting home bored, and a lot of people have never had probably a Prime account or an Amazon account before. The grandmas who didn't know how to do it have been shown how to do it. So I think those people are all going to be out there. So I think it's going to be, for all of us, the best time ever to be ready and waiting with whatever you choose to sell, because I think it'll be there. Like here in Australia, our Kmarts are now closing a lot of the stores around, and they're huge stores, to turn them into warehouses to do their online, because their online has exploded that much that they can't cope. So will those stores ever reopen? I mean, that might be the end of some of those big stores, because obviously they're paying huge rents if they can do it from a distribution warehouse in the future. So we might see even some of our bigger retailers reduce some of their shops that weren't perhaps performing so well. So I think, once again, it's open for a lot more online selling, and Amazon in America is the #1 really marketplace. So I think if we're on there, we should be, able to hopefully do well out of it.
Excellent. Regina, same question to you. Crystal ball, 6 to 8 months out.
Crystal ball, look, I'm going to be in agreement with Margaret here. I think as online, whether Amazon or off Amazon, online sellers are really going to expand if we're smart. The one thing we've got to watch out for is just that old thing, when anything looks so easy, any idiot can do it, all the idiots get in. So... those of us that have been around for a bit and are smart, we're in a position to take advantage and also help other people take advantage and train them to do it properly, so that they're not the idiots. So I think it's however it's going to look, and we're not sure yet, but I think online sales are just going to increase and continue to increase at a faster rate than before, just because, as Margaret was saying, so many more people are buying. And they're getting used to buying from home because they physically can't go out to the shops. I think there may be a small dip once the doors are let out, where everybody's like, yay, we're going to get out to the shop.
But habits changed overall, is what you're saying.
But I think long term that they're going to love the convenience. Love the convenience, the credit cards on file, all of that, easy peasy. Yeah.
Cool. Amy, same to you. Crystal ball.
I think that there's a lot to what Meghla and Regina both have said about there being both an influx of suppliers and an influx of people selling online. There's a lot of people pivoting right now. A lot of people have just realized, hey, my job's not all it was cracked up to be. Hey, you know, what's going on online? Think of all the brands and brick and mortar shops and stuff that are now pivoting to online. So, you know, we used to have, I think the number was 3,000 new Amazon sellers every day. I predict that is going to go up significantly.
Yeah.
I also think that in terms of suppliers, as Meghla mentioned, suppliers, some of them are broke, and others, there's a lot of people in China posing as suppliers now. And I think that's not only going to happen in China, I think it's going to happen all over. And what my advice would be to anyone wanting to either grow their online business or get into it is remember to treat it like a business. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's a business. And if you take the time to vet your suppliers, plan things out, use the necessary legal and policy resources, you are going to be just fine. But if you try to cut corners, then you're going to run into the people who are also cutting corners, posing as suppliers, or, you know, putting any old product on the market. I also think there's going to be a significant increase in retailers that are also pivoting to e-commerce. Some of these major retailers have already moved into e-commerce. I've noticed on the very popular show, the Shark Tank, recently, the sharks are not interested in helping people expand into brick and mortar. They say, don't bother with brick and mortar right now. You know, you really need to be focused online. If you can do well online, then you can do well elsewhere. It's, you know, so, but I think there's going to be a huge change. You know, you think about Walmart, who now reduced their hours during this time. What are they going to learn from that? Has that really affected their sales? They're already leaning into their e-commerce platforms and trying to grow them and compete with Amazon. And Amazon has set them up to be a competitor by going to factories and asking factories to list directly on their platform. So those of us who are brand owners, we need to have awesome products, we need to have awesome branding, and we need to have an awesome business. We don't want to cut corners. We don't want to, you know, skip those things. So make sure you're doing your inspections. Make sure you're doing your audits. Make sure you're calling your lawyer. Make sure you're, you know, just crossing your T's and dotting your I's. And there's
just be better, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Just be better everything.
Exactly. Yep. There's going to be some millionaires and billionaires made out of this.
Indeed. Meghla, how can people reach you?
Well, the best way to reach me is on Messenger. So just search me on Facebook, Meghla Bhardwahj, and then send me a message on Messenger.
Excellent. And Margaret?
Yeah, probably the same. I think it's the easiest, other than giving out sort of emails and all that. It's probably just as easy to find me on Facebook. You'll find my face there.
Regina, do you want to plug the podcast as well?
Yeah, the podcast and the Facebook group, the Women on Amazon.
Yeah.
Both, and also I also live on Messenger, so people can easily message me on Facebook Messenger.
I know there's only a one-word change with Women of Amazon and Women's on Amazon. So I hope you didn't.
On Amazon, Women on Amazon.
Yeah, no, me. I didn't want to steal your title to your show. So, yeah. Amy,
women plural. It's women plural.
True. Yeah. Amy.
Okay, well, you can definitely join me in my Facebook group, Amazing at Home. We have a lot of fun conversations on there. We've been talking about Merchant Fulfilled and stuff like that. So join the conversation, Amazing at Home. You can also find me on Facebook, and as well as listen to the podcast. I've got the Amazon FBA Seller Roundtable, so you can go to sellerroundtable.com and check out any of our episodes.
Sounds good. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'll be back here tomorrow. We're doing Sunday Mindset. Tomorrow's going to be on mental health. I'm still trying to secure a lineup. I want to get some technical practitioners in for tomorrow as well. So that should be a good one. And then I'll release the list for next week's content. Ladies, once again, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you all again. And I'll be back here 4 p.m. UK tomorrow. Much love. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.